it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. And the eyes of both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloth. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked and I hid myself." He said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree which I commanded you not to eat?" The man said, here's a classic, I'm going to blame it on the next person. "The woman you gave to be with me, she gave me fruit of the tree and I ate." Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is it that you've done?" The woman said, "Well, Lord, the serpent deceived me and I ate." And the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you among all livestock, and above all beasts of the field on your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." You ought to underline that verse in the Bible. We'll get to that next week. To the woman he said, "I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." And to Adam he said, "Because you've listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. You shall eat of the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return." The man called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. And the Lord God made for Adam and for his wife garments of skin and clothed them. The Lord God said, "Behold, the man has become like one of us in knowing good and evil. Now lest he reach out his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him out of the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he was taken. He drove out the man, and at the east of the Garden of Eden he placed a cherubim and a flaming sword that turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life." So here you have, in chapter 3, you have the serpent, the devil, entering the scene. Now it says that the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. We know that the serpent is the devil from what we read in Revelation 12:9. It says, "And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." So if you look the word crafty up in the Hebrew in this first verse, you'll find the words that mean shrewd or sly. He was a cunning creature, all in a bad sense. There was not anything good that was within him. He appears in forms where you would not expect him to appear. And when he shows up, listen what Paul wrote about the false workers who came in among the church. 2 Corinthians 11:13, "For such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as the apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light." So in Paul's day, there were some ministers of the gospel who had transformed themselves into ministers of righteousness, angels of light. One person said this: if Satan were actually to reveal himself today, you would think he was a being of breathtaking beauty. Not what you would think. Not who you would think he is. He's going to disguise himself. The word crafty here in verse 1 is the same word that's used in Job 15:5. It says, "For your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty." Same word, it's the word accuser. So Satan is an accuser. Revelation 12:10 says, "And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now the salvation and power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God." Satan accuses people in the presence of God. And the name devil actually means accuser or adversary. Satan accuses the saints of God. But I thank the Lord today. We have an advocate in the heavens. His name is Jesus. But we're introduced to the serpent. And here's what sort of pops up. How in the world did he get in the Garden of Eden? Where did he come from? Probably everyone has asked, who would be looking for the devil in the Garden of Eden? Eve, I'm sure, wasn't expecting to encounter a talking serpent or to be tempted with committing the first sin when she encountered Satan. She wasn't looking for Satan, but Satan was looking for her. You know, Satan sometimes shows up in places where you would least expect him, doesn't he? One man said he believes the devil comes to church with more regularity than some of the church people do. One time a pastor was preaching on the subject of the devil, and a little boy came up to him afterward and said, "Pastor, when you were up there preaching about the devil, I could see the devil just as plain as day." If he didn't disguise himself, you wouldn't listen to him. Let me give you some thoughts about this chapter. The first thought is this: Satan is a master of deception. He is a master of deception. Verse 1 says, "The serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made." Deception is defined as an untrue falsehood, an act of lying or